Sagama, Padamare, Ni, Ni, Re, Ma, Dhapa, Ga, 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 Sagapa, Padamare, Ni, Ni, Re, Ma, Dhapa, Ga, 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 Mana, Manatil Dhyasa Madhuni, Umale Phalashruti, Saraswati Chagavaryatil Jyoti Phalashruti, Mana, Manatil Dhyasa Madhuni, Umale Phalashruti, Saraswati Chagavaryatil Jyoti Phalashruti.
Good morning, students. Here I am again, Mrs. Veena Mudaliar. I'm retired biology teacher from Sate College. Today I am bringing to you Miss Lakshmi Pillai, a very versatile teacher. Let me give you proper introduction. She has been working with HR College, Churchgate for last 21 years. She has been teaching OC and SP. She has been member of Board of Studies for HSC Board. She has also taught BMS, BBI for 12 years. She has authored many books of OC and SP for FYJC and SYJC. She has also presented a research paper on corporate governance in banking. Great. Lakshmi madam, that's great. I'm amazed by your versatility.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So lucky to have her here today. So let's begin the session with Lakshmi madam. Okay, Lakshmi madam, you may take over.
Thank you, Leena ma'am, for your kind words. And students, don't get frightened by all those things. Teaching is my passion. So as long as I have students, I'm gladly willing to give all my help to you all. So let's start the session. Any queries you have, as you all know, you can write it in the chat box and we'll take it up at the end of the session. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Give me a second. So today I'm going to give you an in-depth knowledge about this subject, organization of commerce and management, in the sense that I'll prepare you to study for the exam as well as write your paper in such a way that you can score marks. Now, please note, students, that this subject is not only a compulsory subject in your 12th standard, 11th and 12th standard, but this subject is the foundation for you all in your future course in commerce. So whichever stream you go for, whichever course in BCom you go, BCom or BMS or whatever it is, this is going to be the fundamental, the foundation part of your knowledge for commerce. So this subject is covering a lot of topics which are important from your this year's board exam point of view as well as for your future. So I'm going to give you a brief insight into the content also so that you know how to answer your paper. So let's start then. So I'm going to start with the reduced portion for this academic year. As you all know, because of the peculiar situation we are facing because of this pandemic, the government has approximately reduced 25% of portion in almost all subjects. So we are going to start with this because I don't want you all to waste your time preparing something which is not going to be asked in the exam. So it has been clearly told to us that no questions will be asked on these topics in the internal exam as well as in the HSC exam. So I'm going to specifically speak on all of them, the reason being that there is some confusion amongst the students as well as the teaching community. So I want to clarify this. I've tried to keep it as it is that has been sent by the board. So you all have something similar to it. So in the first chapter, Principles of Management, two topics which is given. The topic numbering is 1.4 and 1.7. So I want you to focus on this numbering here as well as the page number. So it is these two topics, that is significance of management of principles and techniques of management, scientific management. Management. Now, just a minute, let me take a highlighter here. So if you see, this topic starts, the beginning of the paragraph starts like this, as we have discussed, blah, 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 till the end part of it. So I'm not going to read this for all of them. I'm just telling you how I have tried to identify which sentence onwards till which sentence or word you don't have to study. Basically, focus on this, you will understand what I'm trying to say. So significance of management principles and techniques of scientific management, these two topics you don't have to study for this academic year. Then second chapter, you have everything. So that's why I directly come to the third chapter. So you see, this is chapter 3. Third chapter, you don't have one topic, that is qualities of successful entrepreneur. Okay, so this is a small topic, but still it makes a great effect on you all, because there is going to be something which is similar already. So that's why it's good that this is not there. Now, moving on to the next chapter, chapter 4, business services. I'm sure many of you have already gone through the chapter and you'll realize that it's such a huge topic. So luckily here, they have taken out the easiest, but also the longest two topics here. So these two topics, that is transport and communication, is not there. Students, please note, what I have highlighted here in green has not been shown in the reduced portion that has come to us. It is a distinction between various types of transport. Because the topic of transport is not there, this distinction of different types of transport is also not there, right? So don't think that because it is not given to you all in your this, it is actually, it has not been clearly specified in the reduced portion that came out. So please remember this topic also, the distinction between transport also, you don't have to study. That's why I had to specifically highlight it. Now, moving on to the next chapter, chapter 6, social responsibilities of business. They have removed one topic, which is business ethics. Right? So it's a huge one, as in it is something which is new for you all to understand also. So they have removed this topic, which is not going to impact your understanding of the chapter. So that's also something very useful for you all to know. Then coming to consumer protection. I'm sure this is a topic many of you might have done in your school days also. I think 9th or 10th standard, you do touch upon consumer protection. So here again, we have removed two topics: need and importance of consumer protection and responsibilities of consumers. So these two topics also you don't have to do. Finally, coming to the next chapter, marketing. Again, a huge topic. Chapter actually, and in that we have removed a major, means this is also a big topic, so we have removed this types of markets. But it's very easy, and you might have done this in economics also, so you know it's not that you're going to lose knowledge on this. So this was about the topics that will not be asked for your exams in your internal as well as your external. Now moving on to this particular chapter wise weightage. Now students, please note it down if you don't have this, because this is going to be of great help to you, especially when I start talking to you about the paper pattern and which chapters to focus on. So the idea of giving you the chapter-wise weightage is two. One is which chapters you must do without fail, meaning you don't think of also omitting that. Also, this gives you an idea which is the topic which, if in case you want to leave, you can leave that. Thirdly, that is my perspective. Thirdly, it tells me amongst the two topics, which topic I should do in depth and which topic I can do little lightly. So that is why this whole marks weightage is important. So if you go to see from this table here, the most important chapter is business services. Business services. You see, without option, it is 20, and with options, it is 27. In other words, students, when I'm speaking to you all, I would rather you concentrate on the outer column, So if you go to see, this chapter has got 27 marks weightage, right? So this is the most important chapter. Going by the weightage, the second most important chapter is marketing, because it has got a 20 mark weightage, right? So you can start writing number 1, business services, number 2, marketing, if you're looking at the order in which you want to study your chapters, right? Then if you go to see, the third most important chapter is consumer protection. Now this is important because it helps you, just a minute. This is important because it helps you in understanding which chapter you have to focus properly on. So that's why I would assume, I want you all to look at this particular chapter as the most important chapter. Now, moving on to the fourth important chapter, this is my functions of management, which is actually for 15 marks. So this chapter, functions of management, is for 15 marks. I'll speak about this chapter when I talk about the types of answers that you have to write. Okay. Then comes my next chapter in importance, which is my principles of management. A lovely chapter, simple and easy to understand as compared to functions. So this is again the important topic in that sense. If you go to see chapter number 5, that is emerging modes of business and social responsibilities, both have got similar weightage. In fact, they both have got exactly the same weightage. Now, question is which topic to be given the first importance. Now, if you go to see in emerging modes of business, there are roughly some 16 to 17 subtopics to be covered, and there are no cancellations in this chapter. Whereas in social responsibility, roughly 8 to 9 subtopics you have to cover. So if you see the number of topics, social responsibility comes as my next important topic. Now, if I'm not looking in the number of topics, if I'm looking at the content of the topic, even then for me, social responsibilities is much more easier because this is kind of common sense. So I would put this as my next topic, which is 6th, and 7th would be my emerging modes of business in terms of importance. And then we have one chapter which cries out because it has got only 5 marks weightage. So this is what many of the times students tell me, ma'am, what happens if I leave this chapter? Well, I tell them you can leave the chapter. The thing is, what if they ask an objective question on this? So that is where you have to be prepared at least with the objectives of this chapter, right? Anyway, it's a simple chapter and you do cover it up slightly in your economics also. So let's then move on to the next segment, students, which is your application-based paper pattern. Now, this is the first time at the HSC that we are going to have a paper like this, which is called as application-based paper. The thing is, students, what happens is earlier we had a 20-mark project which was internally done. So instead of that project, we have now kept a kind of objective type of paper. Again, it is an internal, meaning your college will conduct this. You know, the answer sheet would be like how you used to get in school days, worksheets, right? So you have the question and you have to write the answer in that paper only. And the marks that you get in these exams will be sent by your college to the board. And this would be consisting of 20 marks. So it's going to be something which is like an objective part of your paper. So you know what happens is by the end, this happens just before your board exams. So you have already studying for the entire theory paper. So all the objectives that you're studying is going to help you here also. So the first question that they ask is correct the underlying word and rewrite the sentence. So they give a sentence and you have to, they underline a word and you have to correct only that underlying word. So you have to rewrite the sentence with the correct word. So you get it for 4 marks. So it's such a simple way of scoring marks, just see, right? And complete the sentence, nothing but you fill in the blanks. Only thing is the options are not given. So you have to fill it with the option. Again, that's for 4 marks. So I expect this also to be very easy for you all to attempt. Now comes this question. Again, this is something newly introduced in this academic. Find the odd one or arrange in proper order. You see, they will not give a combination. Like they can't give, it's only for 3 marks. So they can't give you one order, arrange in order and one find the odd one. Either they give you all find the odd ones or they give you all arrange in proper order. What is odd one? They will give you 3 or 4 words and you have to find out which one is the odd one there. If it is arranged in order, there are few things that we have to write in step-by-step way and the order will be messed up. You have to arrange it in proper order. So that's how this question will be asked for 3 marks, right? So again, I think that's something very easy to score. Now coming to this question, study the following case or situation and express your opinion. Children, this is again a new question asked. In fact, this is your application based, meaning what knowledge you have learned in the textbook theory. We are giving you a case or a situation and you have to answer. Please note, we give you 4 and you have to attempt any 3. Each question is for 3 marks. So each question will have approximately 3 sub-questions and each sub-question will be for 1 mark. Now, having explained to you all these things, I just want you all to realize that if you study your objectives properly of all chapters, this whole 20 marks should be in your pockets. I'm going to tell you something here. Many of you feel that theory subject, I can never score properly here. So out of 80 marks, it's going to be very difficult to score, right? Tell you what, students, out of 80 marks also you can score 78, 79, 76. 76 is like an average amongst students who are good at studies. But for those students who feel, oh God, I'm not so good at studies, please remember, failing is more difficult than passing. In this subject, failing is very difficult. Meaning what? You must really shut down your common sense. Put it under tight lock and key. Then only you will fail. Because children, what happens is this subject, 90% of the things are something which you are already aware of. And how then can you not write it in the exam? Right? So, there is no fixed way. All you have to do is convey what we are asking. It's so much easier for you to score. So please remember, the session that I'm going to conduct is for those students who want to score out of 80, 79, 78, 76, 75. And for those students who are thinking, all I want to do is just pass, well, I'm not going to let you down at that level. I want you to come somewhere near my 70s. So those of you who feel I'll be happy if I get a 50, no way, I'm not going to leave you there. I want you all to try to set a target of 75. When you get 70, I'm more than happy. Right? So please remember, I'm going to give you all the tricks necessary for you all to score that 70 percentage. Okay? So out of 20, I expect full 20. 1 mark also, if you lose here, students, it's going to be really a big stupidity on your part, because it's so simple. This is all objectives, right? So let's now move on to your Brilliance paper pattern as well as your HSC paper pattern. If you go to see, I know there might be few, supposing you had your siblings who were from the previous batches, they would say, oh my God, we had only 6 questions to write, but you people have 8 questions to write. It's a long paper for you all. Students, it isn't so. Listen to me carefully and I'll tell you how your paper pattern is much more suitable for you all, because one, the number of questions may be more, but what you write in each question is going to be less as compared to what the previous batches had to write. Secondly, every question you will score something here. There is hardly a scope where you write something and you get a 0 unless you write something totally different other than the subject, right? So the possibilities of you scoring is very high under this paper pattern. So let's start with question number 1. In fact, because question number 1 is going to be different this year, I have put it on a slide all on its own. So this slide only covers my question number 1. Now, question number 1 is for 20 marks. It means this is an objective question where we ask you 4 sub-units or sub-bits here of questions, and each of them will be for 5 marks. So what can be asked? In your textbook, if you see, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, all these types of questions, right? Any 4 will be asked. Out of this, any 4 will be asked. So each statement will be for 1 mark, but the entire question's weightage will be 5 marks. So that's how, supposing I'm asking you select the correct option and rewrite the sentence. So I'll ask you 5 sentences and this will be for 5 marks, right? So that is one thing. Match the pairs, I will ask for 5 and it will be for 5 marks and so on. So this is how it's going to be for you. Now you see, out of 80 marks, you have got 20 marks as objective. 20 marks as objective. So what's going to happen is that you are able to score good marks here, because 20 out of 20 is something which I expect each child to get. And what happens is, now see, out of 100, already the 20 marks ABT questions, you have scored full 20 there, and out of 80, you have scored 20. So you see 20 plus 20, 40 is your minimum passing, means 35 is your minimum passing, right? So if you attempt this full question properly, you have already passed by just writing 1 question out of 80 marks. Now, do you realize why I said it is so difficult to fail in the subject? Now, supposing some students say, no, ma'am, I can't get full 10, 20 out of 20. No, I can get only say 10. So you get 20 in the ABT out of 20, you get 10 or 15 also. And here you get 10 or 15. Isn't it closer to 30? Right? So to just pass, I'm talking about those people who look only to pass. You see how easy it is to pass. So please remember, why look at the easy way out? Take it up as a challenge that you will get full 20 in your ABT and full 20 here. You see, by just attempting one question, you're almost reaching 50%. 40 marks is in your pockets, right? So that's why students, please remember, for me, question 1 is the most important one because I score maximum here by writing the minimum. Right? So now let's move on then to the second segment of your question paper. Now this is the rest of the questions. I'm going to explain each one of them to you clearly. The reason being, some of them are being asked for the first time. So we have a question number 2, explain the following terms or concepts, which is one question is for 2 marks. You have to attempt any 4. We give you 6 and you have to attempt any 4. And so the entire questions that you're going to attempt is going to be 8, right? 4 2s are 8. So this is 8 marks. But you see, we are asking you 6 questions. We are asking you 6 questions. So the entire question from the teacher's point of view, when we are setting the paper, it is 12. It is 12. So you understood the concept of marks without option and marks with option. Children, remember when I gave you the unit-wise, chapter-wise weightage also, there were these columns, marks with option and marks without option. And I told you to consider this only. Reason is, you have to write 4. But we are going to ask 6, so we are giving you these 6. So you can concentrate on this part of it. Now, moving to this particular question. I think many of you have come across this kind of question even in your economics students. However, remember, there is a difference in this question being asked here as compared to what is being asked in the others in your economics. Here, this question is actually where you just write the meaning of the word, the concept that we are asking, and just explain in 1 or 2 lines what this is all about. So this is why I said this is so simple. All you have to do is just write 3 to 4 lines and you get 2 marks. Now, supposing you don't write everything exactly the way we want, you see, still you will get 1 and 1.5 approximately, because out of 2, it's not going to happen that you're totally writing something different and you get to 0. So what you're going to get is you're going to get nothing less than 1 minimum. That's what I'm counting, or 1.5. Fine enough. If it is 1.5, I get 1.5 in 1 or 2 questions and 2 in the rest of the questions. What will happen is I will be able to still score out of 8, at least 6 or 7, right? So for me, this is also a highly scoring question. Now moving on to the next question, study the following case study or situation. Remember, every chapter has got at least 2, in some cases 3 to 4 such case studies given. You are already doing this for your ABT test. Now, same pattern question will be asked in your 80-mark paper. So it's something which you're already prepared for. And what is the weightage of this question here? As I told you, we give you 3. You have to attempt any 2. And each question is for 3 marks. So the entire question is for 6 marks, right? So if you go to see, this 6 is also in your pocket because this is such a simple one. All you have to do is children write a word or a phrase and you get your marks. So if you are so well thorough with your questions that is given in the exercises behind, again for me, this 6 marks is also scoring. Meaning I'm trying to say I'm going to score full 6 marks here, right? So let's now move on to our traditional questions. Distinguish between. So this has been a traditional question asked even before the new paper pattern. Now, what is new here is that each distinction is for 4 marks. So we give you 4 distinctions. We have a narrow choice here and you have to write any 3 out of them. So out of 4, you have to write any 3. And each one is for 4 marks. So it means we expect from you to write not less than 4 points. And if your points are all correct, you can get full 12 marks here. Full 12 marks here. So can you see how scoring it is? So let's look at it. You have already done question number 1, which gets you 20 marks. And this is out of 8. Let's assume you're not trying to say I'll get full 4 marks. And let's say at least you'll get 6 here. At least you'll get 6 here. If not 6, let's say you're getting 4 here. So if you go to see children, just add up. You're writing just 2 or 3 questions or 4 questions and you are already crossing 50 plus. And we have still so many things to be written. So can you see how scoring it is possible? So if you apply your mind and study properly, I would call it as smart studying, you are definitely going to get 70 up. So if you follow me, just try to understand. I want you all to realize that this question, because I'm going to tell you why this question is easy to score later on. So this is something which I look forward for you all to get full marks. Now coming to answer in brief. Again, you have been used to this right from your school days. This is nothing but kind of a short answer. Again, this is for 4 marks. Each question is for 4 marks. We give you 3. You have to attempt any two. And it is then counting up to 8 marks. So again, this is scoring for you all. I'll tell you when I explain to you how to write the paper, how it is scoring. Okay, because here again, because it is for 4 marks, I expect you all to write not less than 4 points. Then this is a new kind of question. Actually, this is an old question only, but we have reframed it in a different way. Earlier we used to ask a statement like this, explain whether the following statements are true or false. So you had to write whether it is true and then give reasons, or you have to write false and then give reasons. Well, here that whole thing is removed. What are we saying is, we are giving you a positive statement. We are giving you a statement. You just have to write why it is so. Just write why it is so. Again, it is for 4 marks and you have to attempt any 2 out of the 4. So that's how it comes to 8. It means from the 4, you have a lot of choice here. So any 2 you have to pick up, and because it is for 4 marks, you are supposed to write not less than 4 points. And by writing all the relevant correct points, you get full marks here also. So you see, what I'm trying to tell you is, all these questions that I have been speaking about so far, everywhere you have a scope of getting full marks. Though it is a theory question paper. I'll tell you how earlier there was a conception that people used to assume that, theory paper nobody can score. But students at times have changed. Your paper pattern is now in such a way made that you will get almost full marks everywhere. Of course, there is one case where you might lose out mark, I'll tell you that also. But that's also just a mark, 1 mark or 2 mark only. So have you understood this question? Justify the following statements. Only write the reasons for that statement we are giving. Don't tell us whether it is right or true or false. Right? Now, coming to the next one, attempt the following. Actually, this question and question number 5 is almost the same. Almost the same in the sense, what I'm trying to say is, in answer in brief, you write 4 points. It's like a short note. This is also a similar case. Only difference is here. Can you see? The question, this was for 4 marks. Here it is for 5 marks. So what happens here is, we are increasing it by 1 mark only. So it means you have to write not less than 5 points here. So 1 extra point. So that's why I said the way of writing this answer and question number 5 is similar. You have to write any 2 out of the 3 we asked. So here 10 marks, right? So often what happens is, student, this is where maybe you may lose out 1 mark. Why? Because here we are giving you a scope for you to write something beyond on your own. They're trying to give you an opportunity to do something different than what is given, something additional than what is given to you in the textbook. So this is where you get a scope to score more. So if your answers are excellent, you'll get 5 plus 5, 10. Or if your answer is just exactly or somehow little less, there is a scope for you to lose 1 mark. That's it, maximum 1 mark, right? So if you get, instead of 5, you get 4.5, instead of 10, it will be 9. That's what I said by losing 1 mark here. Right? Now we come to the next and the last question of the question paper. Answer the following, long answer, meaning this is where we expect you to write long answer. You see, the weightage of the question is 8 marks. So obviously you understand this is very important one. So we give you 2, you have to attempt any 1. And now in this question, children, what happens is, it's not 1 question. It is usually 2. This question has 2 parts of it. So for example, what is a bank? Explain the functions of a bank. Or what is insurance? Explain the principles of insurance. Right? So something like this they give. So it means this 8 marks is split. It's going to be like 2 plus 6 or 1 plus 7, something like that, depending on the question. Now, it may so happen that they may simply give, say for example, the question is like this: explain briefly the principles of insurance. Explain briefly the principles of insurance. So again, what do you feel? The entire focus is on principles of insurance, isn't it? So then here there is no 2 questions. So the entire question will be for 8 marks. So there is, depending upon the kind of question asked, a bifurcation of that 8 marks. When there is bifurcation, definitely you can score marks in the 2 sub questions that they're asking. But when it is out of only 1 segment that they're asking you, this is where there is a possibility for you to score little less, because we expect you to write an overall complete answer. So say for example, I'm going to keep the same example, explain the principles of insurance. So many of you start with principle number 1, principle of utmost good faith. Second one, and so on, you explain all the 10 principles of insurance. But there is a student who has written what is the meaning of insurance, and then he starts with the introduction of principles of insurance, and then he starts his answer. So what has happened here is, this child, because he has given a wholesome answer, he may get full marks, whereas the students who have just written directly to the point because I'm telling you there is a variation that's always going to happen, might get half a mark less. Well, half a mark doesn't matter. 7.5, if you get 7.5 also, what does it turn out to be when we round it up, right? Because we round up question wise. You still get 8 marks here, right? So that is why I said scoring is always possible. Now, I'm going to talk about something which is very, very important. Students, please note down if you have a paper and pen with you, because what happens is you might get this PPT, but the content that I'm going to tell you is much, much more important. So I'm going to talk about all your questions, but how to write them. And in the end, I'm also going to tell you how should you give time for each question. So let's start with objectives. As I told you, question number 1 is objectives. You get 4, meaning 4 bits you get for 5 marks each. So 20 marks is your objective, right? I want your students to rewrite the whole thing that we give you. Say, for example, it is select the correct option. Please select the entire sentence you write. If it is match the column, it's okay. You don't draw the boxes, but I want you all to write column A and then put a dash and write the correct answer in column this. So don't write column B, it's okay. Don't draw the box, it's okay. But everywhere where we ask you, I would want you all to write the question and then the complete sentences, right? This way. Supposing I ask you a question, find the odd one out. So what happens is I'm going to give you in the question paper 4 words. I want you to write the entire 4 words, and below that answer may just write which is the odd one there. Don't circle it on the question only. Write that this answer and write the odd word. So this way what happens is, when we are reading your question paper, when we are correcting your paper, children, it creates a positive impression that this child is very, very systematic in answering. And I'll tell you how this kind of impression that you create right in the beginning is of great importance. I'm sure all of you realize presentation of not only your answer paper, but presentation in general life is also important. Imagine, children, just imagine. I'm not talking about these days when you're all sitting at home and doing online studying, but when you are supposed to go to regular colleges, don't you give attention to how you look, your appearance part? Don't you try to do something better to see that people look at you in a positive manner, right? So when we give so much importance to our physical appearance, what are we trying to do? We are trying to present ourselves in a nice manner to the outside world. So imagine, children, we have to do that even for your answer papers, because you see, you are not there to support your answer. You are not there physically in front of the teacher who is correcting your paper and say, madam, this what I've written is no, actually ye fast mein likhne mein aisa ho gaya. That doesn't happen, no? So who is going to speak for you? Who is going to represent you when your teacher is correcting the paper? It is what you have written on your answer paper. So that is why I say your presentation has to be proper. So when you start writing your answers in this manner, where in question number 1, whatever they have asked, you rewrite the sentence they are given and you have written it, children, it makes your presentations very, very effective. Okay, now moving on to the second question, concepts. I want you all to remember you are writing the meaning properly. Once you have written the meaning, then I want you all to write any 2 sentences which is going to add to the matter. It could be any 2 sentences. Avoid giving examples though, because examples won't add much to your matter. So when we are looking at whether the child has understood the concepts, examples is not exactly what we are looking at. So something which adds to it, you have to write. Right? So for example, I'm talking about insurance. I'm giving you the word insurance. Now, why do the students don't feel anything special here? Why do I keep giving examples of banks and insurance? Because I assume this is a topic which almost everybody is aware of. Supposing I talk about Henry Fayol's principles of management, there might be some who say, oh my God, I've done it, but yaad nahi. So I'm taking something which commonly everybody understands. So when I've given the concept here, insurance, you will write what is insurance, meaning of insurance. Then I want you all to write 2 sentences sentences. So one of the sentences could be that there are different types of insurance like fire, marine, and life insurance. That is one sentence. Second, insurance, a topic on insurance, I can say that many principles of insurance, like one or two just mentioned, are to be followed in insurance. That's it. That's it. And these were things which you knew. So please try to understand, children. Concepts, the answer for the concepts is not readily given in the textbook. Actually, this is where we are trying to see, have you understood the theory we have taught you? So we are applying your theoretical knowledge here. So what you have to remember is the answers are not ready-made. You have to select and write. Now, those students who feel I can't think and write on my own, I can't write, in that case, sit and write the answers for all the concepts given in the exercises behind the textbook. Keep it ready for your board exam. Because you have enough time now, you can do that also. Okay. Now coming to the next question, which is case study or situation. As I told you, we will give you one case study which will have not more than 3 sub questions. So each sub question meaning will have 1 mark each, right? So what kind of answers are you supposed to write? You are simply going to write that answer here. Yes, no, or supposing we ask you to give a name, you're just going to name that person. You are not going to sit and explain the reason why it is so. You see, I'm giving you only 1 mark for that question. Then how can I ask you to write the reason here? So remember, students, you are just writing one word or a phrase. Say, when I say one phrase means, I'm talking about, say, for example, I'm saying this principle of insurance says that both the parties should reveal or be honest towards each other. So here the answer is principle of utmost good faith. Now see how many words are there? Principle of utmost good faith. 5 words, right? It's a phrase for me. So that's what I meant to say. It's one word. Say, for example, identify the type of insurance, and the answer is life insurance. So you will write life insurance. So that's what I mean to say here. Do not explain the reasons here. Okay. Then moving on to the next question, minimum 4 points. As I told you earlier, for distinctions you have to write. Now pay attention. In your entire textbook, you have 4 chapters which has got distinctions. Only 4 chapters which has got distinctions. If you count those distinctions, there are exactly 8 distinctions with the matter that they have given in the textbook. There is one more distinction that is asked in the same chapter, business services, but the answer for that is not given in the textbook. So, let's assume you don't do that. Even then, children, you have 8, and out of this 8, 4 will be asked. You know what, children, start preparing your distinctions. 100% out of this 8, any 4 is going to come. So right now, you know one question that is going to be asked in your question paper. Prepare so that by the time you appear for your prelims, you get full 12 marks. Because you see, all these distinctions are simple and easy to understand. Now, if you want to know which chapters I'm referring to where you have all the distinctions, you have chapter number 2, functions of management. For all the 6 functions, they are given one distinction. Do that thoroughly. Any 2 combination they ask, your answer would be ready. Okay, then chapter number 4, which is business services, the huge one we have. There are actually 3 nice distinctions given, 2 on banks and 1 on insurance. Do that. Definitely 1 is coming. Definitely 1 is coming. If I were you, I would do out of the minimum 2, because I know 1 can be from bank and 1 can be from insurance. So my matter is ready. And the next one is from emerging modes of business. Remember the chapter business, emerging modes of business, chapter 5, where there is no reduction. From there, they can ask. There are 3 distinctions. So they can definitely ask 1, because I have to ask. See, look at it like this. When I'm preparing a question paper, I have to ask 4 distinctions. Obviously, I'm not going to take 3 from the same chapter, isn't it? So I'm going to ask 1 each from each chapter, and there are only 4 chapters. So obviously, those 4 you're going to get. And the last chapter is consumer protection. So there are 4 chapters, 4 distinctions to be asked, definitely 1 from each chapter. So I've given you the blueprint of your question paper. Start studying, start preparing an answer. 1 question is in your pocket. So question number 1, objectives, 20 marks in your pockets. Question number 4, distinction, 12 marks should be in your pockets. Right? Agree with me or not? Okay. So anyway, let's move on to the next one, answer in brief. Now, students, here I have written minimum 4 points. Answer in brief is nothing but short answers. When I say minimum 4 points, this is for those students who want to just ensure that they pass. Now, having so many years of experience, what I have seen is, students, if I ask you to write 4 points, you study 4 points only. But when you write, often you forget 1 point. So when you study 4, you write 3 points. Rather, what I would want you all to do is study 6 to 7 points. I ask you to write minimum 4 points, right? But even if you write 5 or 6, you see you're writing more than what is asked. You're creating that additional impression. And what happens? I will never give you a half mark here. Out of 4, I will give you 4 only. I can't make it 3.5 because I had wanted only 4 points, but you have written so many more points. So I'm going to give you definitely full marks here. Now you see how you're able to score marks here, children? That's what I was trying to tell you. Okay, then comes the next question, justify. Again, my logic remains the same. We want minimum 4, but I would advise you all to write at least 5 here, at least 5, and see how it improves your scoring. Right? Now, coming to attempt, again, I told you this is nothing but a short answer. So here, 5 to 6 points, 5 to 6 points. Though we say 5 marks for 1 mark for each point, it doesn't work so. Children always write a little bit more. Now, I'm not saying write 10 and 12 points. I'm not saying that. Just write at least more than what we expect from you all. And here comes my long answer. I have already explained to you. Often it may be in 2 segments or 1 segment question. You write with meaning. If they have asked definition, children, you have to write the definition. If they have asked, you have to. There, if you don't write definition, you will lose mark. I'm telling you, bluntly, I'm telling you. Question says clearly, write, define, and then you still don't write that, you're losing that 1 mark or 2 mark which was assigned to that. But if they have not asked you the word meaning at all, and still you write meaning, you're creating that good impression. You're creating that good impression. I'll give a simple example. When you're going to go out of your house, you know you have to wear a shirt or a t-shirt and go out, right? If you pay attention, if you want to present yourself properly, you will ensure that your shirt or t-shirt is nicely ironed, right? When you wear an unironed cloth, t-shirt or shirt, it is doing the right thing. It is showing you in a way that you expected. But when you wear an ironed cloth, what happens? What is the kind of impression we create? Keep that in mind. So when they don't even ask the meaning, but you still write the meaning, that shows this child is much better prepared, knows more than what we want. And that's why children always write. It could be a one-liner meaning also, no harm, but do that. And then we have explanation of the points, minimum 8 points, because you see the whole question is for 8 marks. So I don't want anything less than 8 marks. So that's why I say I want this to be done thoroughly. Okay. Now, let's look at the time management part of it. I have given you, we have a 3-hour paper, which is 180 minutes, right? 180 minutes. Now, I am very generous here. I'm giving you 170 minutes here. But mind you, this timing that I'm giving you all is the maximum you should take per question. Remember, if you are going to be my expert students who keep practicing writing your papers, all of this you should save 5 minutes everywhere, so that at the end you have enough time to go through your answer, so that you know exactly where you have to do that whole thing, right? So please remember, these limits are the extreme maximum limits that you can use. Doesn't mean you can try for reducing this time limits. Okay. Now, one more advice when I'm giving this to you all is that, supposing, for example, question number 4, I'm giving you 30 minutes. And for question number 3, I'm giving you 10 minutes. But you feel that I need more time here and I need less time here. Children, internal adjustments you can do. Each child finds each question differently, right? So some may find that distinction is easy because ratta to maar ke rakha, itna to points aata hi aata hai, to mera distinction jaldi ho jayega. But justify mein I'll be spending more time. So it is in justify that I need to spend more time. Then this is what happens, right? So I need more time here. So that's up to you. Individually, you decide what is needed to be done. Okay. Now, moving on to the segment where I'm going to talk to you about your study tips, how to study, which topics to be studied properly, and so on. You see, I have told you clearly, given you the weightage of chapters. I've given you an order in which chapter is more important, second important, third important. So every time you start studying, remember children, the first thing you have to learn is the concepts. If you know the concepts, the features or importance or anything under that becomes easier to understand. So first and foremost, concept clearance is very important. So every chapter, look at the concept, understand what it says, then it becomes easy for you to understand. I'll give a simple example. Henry Fayol's 14 Principles of Management. If you look at the background, Henry Fayol's principles, he's going to talk about something which makes common sense. Right? So if you understand what he's trying to say, principles of management as in a general way of looking at things, you understand that when he says division of work, yeah, it makes sense. Work को divide करो, कैसे होगा? Right? There should be a balance between centralization and decentralization. So you understand the concept. Each point that you're studying becomes easy for you to understand. So that's what I meant to say when you say properly study my concepts. Then I talk about diagrams and charts. Now I'm going to speak about it in a very, very sensible manner. I don't know. Somehow, some students or some people are taught also like this, that for everything you have to have a diagram. It doesn't work. So children, our subject is not biology, our subject is not economics, that everything you need to have a diagram. You see, what I'm trying to say is, in some cases diagrams or charts can be drawn, but not in all cases. Say for example, I'm asking you Henry Fayol's 14 principles of management, out of which I ask you only 8 principles of management. I don't want you to sit and draw a diagram, tree diagram, or whatever diagram you people, no, you don't show your creativity here, and draw all those and then start explaining them. Ours is a theoretical subject. So what you could do is simply write that he has given 14 principles, of which and write all the 14 and then explain any 8 if you're asking for any 8. Don't waste time drawing your diagrams, right? So diagrams you want, you can draw. Say for example, I ask you types of insurance. So you can draw one stick diagram and say there are 3 types of insurance: fire, life, and marine. And then explain. So diagrams can be used by you only when it is going to help in explaining your matter. But you waste time drawing every 8 points or 18 points, and then you start explaining, you're wasting your time. I want you to save your time. So please remember, use it only where it is needed. Coming to the next one, answering points. Specifically, please keep remembering this, that in OC, our answers have to be in points. Children, don't even listen to what I'm saying. Look at the textbook. How have they given the answers? How have they explained the topics? Everything is in point form. Then how is it that when you write an exam, your points are not there? So please remember, everything comes in points. And that's why if you remember, when I explained to you how to write an answer also, I said minimum 4 points, minimum 3 points, right? Points, that is important. Now, remembering the head points. Now, there are 2 kinds of students. Some of them beautifully remember the head points and then they start explaining. And some of them find it very difficult to remember the head points. So, please remember, the head points given in the textbook is not given by any law. There is no law which says, there's no law called as Organization of Commerce and Management Law, or uske andar ye head points diya hai, and if students don't write this head points, the same wordings of head points, we will minus marks. ऐसा लॉ है ही नहीं स्टूडेंट्स. ये हेड पॉइंट किन्होंने बनाया? हम जैसे लोगों ने, who write the textbook, right? So what we do is, which is the most common thing that brings out that explanation, उसको head point बना देते हैं. So those students who don't remember the head points, don't worry, मसाला याद रह गया ना. So मसाले में which is the most important thing, put that as your head points. That's it. So if you remember the head points, well and good. If you don't remember the head points, you will develop it later on slowly. So concepts, if you know the concept, the masala, head points will come up on its own. And finally, children, explanation. Don't use hyphen-do words, be it in language exams or your any subject exam, theoretical review. You have to make it as simple as possible. Explanation, simple words, simple sentences, good enough. We will all understand, right? So this was from my end. I think I have given you everything that you wanted. So let me know, students, what is your queries in the chat box. I'm opening up my this, right?
Yeah, hello students, any query? I think they are fully satisfied, Lakshmi.
Oh, students,
thank you so much.
Any there, can I unmute and ask?
Yeah, please ask them to unmute. Student, unmute and ask your questions.
Yes, Trupti, go ahead.
Ma'am, is it necessary to write the question regarding sorry
Yes, Tripti?
Is it okay if we will write the answers on our own language?
Yes, baby, you can write the answers in your own words. As long as you are bringing the topic that we are asking for, you can use your own words. But please remember, the content written in the textbook is written by one person who is writing it in this way. So we are not asking you to write the same thing, repeat the same thing. Okay. Now, somebody, Akshi has asked here whether should we study all the exercises only given in the textbook or even textual should be asked. Now, students, if you were in, say, it depends upon the teacher, it depends upon the kind of level of student and so on. So what I would advise you all is first and foremost, start with the exercises given at the back of the chapter. So when you do all the exercises given at the back of the chapter, you get an idea of what kind of questions they're asking for which topic, right? And then obviously you're going to learn the entire, you're going to at least give a reading for your entire chapter, right? 2-3 times you will read. So when you read it, supposing on that particular topic we are not asked a question, you can imagine, okay, fine, iske upar bhi aisa question aa sakta hai, right? So you know what happens is, you get an idea by reading the exercises first and then understanding, oh, what kind of questions can be framed. And then when you read the textbook, you yourself can be well prepared for any question that we ask, right? So there are many who will say exams mein sirf exercises mein hi aayega. But if, Beena ma'am and Leena ma'am, you all know, paper setter can ask from within the syllabus. And for that we have a textbook, so I can ask from anywhere. Right? So be prepared. Ultimately, HSC exam is your battlefront. You're going to score here. That is one attempt you are getting to score. So why be unprepared? Be fully prepared. So read the textbook, read all the exercises. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. There are many questions which have, what was that? Found can be, okay. Students, you may be from different colleges, you may be following different teachers' instructions, but I'm going to talk about something from my perspective. It's my personal opinion. And if you feel like it, go ahead. If you don't, it's up to you. Okay, now functions of management, we have 6 functions of management. Each of them, if you go to see, there is some similarity. The head points at least are similar, right? And the matter inside slightly differs and so on. Now, every year, to my college students whom I teach, I give them the same dialogue. This is what I tell them also. You know, imagine this chapter, how many questions can they ask? There is only one 8-mark question that they can ask, right? If you look at it, 8-mark question can come from that 4th chapter business services because it has got the maximum weightage. Second chapter, which has got maximum weightage, is marketing. So another 8-mark question can come. Out of 2, you have to attempt any one. But then management has got 15 marks weightage. Functions of management has got 15 marks weightage. So I can ask an 8-mark question here. So I have 3 possibilities of 8-mark question coming from these 3 chapters. Out of these 3, any 2 will come. Definitely, right? So I still have an option here. I'm not putting it in exactly your words because as a teacher, I'm not going to say, don't do this. It's up to you to understand, read between the lines. So if functions, you are going to study 6 functions, and because of studying 6 functions, there's going to be a lot of repetition and a lot of confusion. There is an option that I study any 2 chapter thoroughly. Okay. Now, supposing you're hell-bent, you say, no, functions is very important. My teacher has said, so I have to study. Out of 6 functions, children, do any 3 or 4 thoroughly, and then ensure that you pick up those things. Say, for example, planning and controlling. And stuffing is totally different. So I can do stuffing. And directing is again different. So, you know, I'm picking up those things which are not going to be getting me confused with the head points. Now, I'll also give you another easy way out. You want to do all the 6 functions? Definitely. And what are we asking you in the functions? We're asking you only the features of these functions, right? We're asking you, sorry, not the features. We're asking you the importance of each of these functions. Do that distinction. Remember, I told you there's one distinction in this chapter. Do that thoroughly. Automatically, you'll get few points of importance there. And then the matter of confusion doesn't arise. Right? So I hope I answered that query properly on your functions of management chapter. Anybody else? Yeah, so, yeah. Yes, application-based question will not have any question on your reduced topic. That's why we said internal exams as well as HSC exam, no question ideally should be asked. No question should be ideally asked. That's what the government has clearly said. If you get the government's I don't know how your college is going to share it with you all. So it's written there in OC and in SP. It's clearly written that no questions will be asked on these topics. Right? Anybody else? Any other queries, students? Topic wise? Any chapter that you feel confusing? Okay, how should we study? Oh, yeah, very good question. I wanted to talk about that because it's a new question. You study the theory part of it, the chapter, that is, you have a nice reading of the chapter, and then when you have finished that, immediately I want you to come to the case studies. And wherever there are case studies given, right there from which part of the chapter it is, right? So what happens is, initially it's going to help you in understanding how they have framed the question for a particular topic. So if you I think we have 1-2 minutes more that I can take here. I'm going to take a case study from the chapter, fourth chapter, business services. Only reason I keep focusing on this is, children, because I feel this is a topic which everybody can easily understand. So that's why I'm taking this topic. Don't think that I know I'm focusing only on this topic because this is going to be something which is going to be asked in the board exam. Okay, so see, here is a question. Amit is a businessman. He has 2 factories in Pune and Nasik. He lives in dash place. He has got 2 children and wife and blah blah blah. So question asked this. First one, can Amit take a life insurance policy for his wife and children? So this question is related to life insurance. In life insurance, in the theory part, we study that life insurance taken for a life of a person, and he can take it for the life of his family members. So you see, this question is related to that part of the explanation. Then the next they are saying is, can Amit take a marine insurance policy for his factories? Now they have given a nice build up, a story they have said, and then they say it is a factory. Now they are asking a question, can he take marine insurance for that? Again, where do we study this? In marine insurance, we take it for goods and ship. And here it is a factory. So where do we study about factories and buildings? In fire insurance. So you see how they ask a question. Now, whenever you read a theory, this is how we can ask a question. So it's actually very simple. It's like a story. I'll give a simple example. From your school days, you must have heard about the story Rabbit and the Hare, and the whole story, last climax and all. When we were children, we were very interested in the climax part of it. And then when you grow up, slow and steady wins the race. So the whole story I gave was a build up to just tell you that this means if you do your work properly, you're going to be a winner. The same thing is with the case study. We give a nice build up, kahani banayenge to confuse you. But if you know the concepts, once again I come to that, you know your answers. Okay. Then there is this, what if they ask twisted questions based on answers from the textbook and we are not able to answer? Child, I think it's Mahi. Mahi, it doesn't happen that way, that you cannot answer. You see what? Our subject is a general knowledge subject. The world around us, the business world around us. So if you're studying what is given in the textbook, whatever kind of questions they ask, I'm sure you will get some part of the answer right. You can never go wrong, because it's something which, it's a real world. I'm talking about something which really happens, as compared to, suppose I'm talking about economics. Some concepts we only learn, never in our real life we see them. So it's not like that. So here we are able to, you will be able to understand. But again, if you have understood the concept, children, you will be able to write any kind of question we ask. I'm sure about that, right? Yes, Akshi has asked anything else? Anybody else? Any questions? Any more questions? Ma'am, I get confused. This is Trupti. I get confused how to write justification. And so please, can you tell how should we write? Okay, fine. Ma'am, we have 1 minute, 2 minutes we have.
Yes.
Yeah, too quickly. Say, for example, the justification is warehousing is important. This is a statement we are given. Now, you have to start your answer. I want minimum 4. Let's target minimum 4. So, you start with, supposing I'll write meaning of warehousing, so 1 point ho jayega. No, warehousing meaning as such will not be an importance. But if you reframe the sentence saying that warehousing is important because it is where we store and preserve the goods, you see what I've done is meaning ko hi maine ek extra word dal ke usko aage piche karke I'm giving it importance. So that's one part. So I talk about storing part of it. Preserving part, I'm putting it as my second part. Third point, I'm saying that it makes the goods available as and when we want. right? So it makes us get the goods that we want whenever we want. So that's what I'm trying to put in my third point. Fourth point, I'll say because of warehousing, where the goods are already always readily available, supply is there as and when the demand is there, which means because of this, there is price stability also possible to maintain. So what have I spoken about? I understood the concept of warehousing, and then because of that, I'm getting all these points here. So that's it. So you need 4 points. Concept, if it is clear, and you have to just justify the same thing, means support the statement, you get your answers, right? Trupti, I assume I have made it clear to you, or when you get a model answer also, I'm sure your teacher would properly do that needful there. Okay? Anybody else? Any other queries? Okay, I got it. Thank you. Okay. So I think I have done my bit here.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am. It was very, very good session.
I hope
I know Trupti and Mahi and Akshay and Maitreyi all are going to agree to that. Aren't you happy, students? So we'll bring you many more such Phalahsruti sessions. So stay with us. Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you. I should thank Beena ma'am because she was the one who initiated me into this.
No,
Yes.
it was a pleasure, and we are very happy to have you with us. And I hope we continue with this long association.
Yeah, hopefully, because I'm really it's a different venture for me, so I'm really enjoying it with such interactive students. So it's a great pleasure. So wish you all the very best, students. Do well. Everything is possible. Just keep this in mind. So I want, ma'am, please let me know in HSC exams, these kids, how much they get. I'm not expecting anything below 77, 78 from these kids.
Great.
Right?
There is
a booster for them.
Ma'am, should we have all definitions in the textbook ready, or can you suggest like which to give priority? But I'll get back to you on this. I need to actually just go reflect on which all definitions are there. I'll get back to you on that. And somebody wants my email ID. Please contact your teachers. They will get in touch with me, Beena ma'am or Leena ma'am, and they will get back to me. And their students, don't worry that after this I'm not there. Whatever help, I'm there. Don't worry.
Students, we are definitely going to invite her for your subject guidance lecture also, and she will give us some time. So that
so
if
don't
you have
worry.
any in doubts, you can get it solved once you start writing the papers. You will come to know where exactly you are making mistakes and how you can improve on those mistakes.
Yeah, so that definitions is what Chaitrali is worried about. I'll do the needful. I'll get back to you on that. Okay. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
there.
Thank you.
Good day
Thank
to
you.
you.
Madam, any instruction for the students?
Yeah, now they'll come again on Saturday for the SP lecture, which it is going to be at 11 o'clock. Again, Lakshmi madam is going to take that SP lecture on Saturday at 11.
Great.
And math students, I think you have finished with your lectures now. You will now only have vocational guidance, languages and IT lecture is remaining. Rest of the things we have covered with you.
Shall we wind up now?
Yes. Thank you, students.
Thank you, students. Thank you, ma'am.
Sa ga ma